everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a highly requested one and it is about how to plan a Nigerian wedding. Emphasis on Nigerian because a Nigerian wedding is totally different from any other kind of wedding you can plan in this world. So I hope this video is going to actually be a series, but this is the first one and today's content is just a general overview. Congrats on your engagement. Now let's plan that wedding. First things first, if you're the one paying for your wedding is going to be easy to plan. But if your parents are paying, you're going to have to deal with a lot of decision making in high places. So just keep that in mind. It is not going to be easy. So the first thing you need to do is to settle on a date between yourself as a couple and with your parents-in-law, and then the church you're going to get married. I only know about Christians, so I'm just going to be talking from a Christian perspective. So you need to ask your husband to be or your wife to be what dates are available for them. They need to, book time off at the office, what holidays they have for the year, if they're working. They need to put all those things into consideration. Then you need to ask your parents, daddy, mommy, we're thinking of doing this wedding on so date. Are you people available on those days? They'll probably be like, oh yes, we're available. Or if they're not available, if they've already had plans before you mentioned your wedding and that plan cannot be changed, they are going to have to settle for another date. And even if both parents agree on a particular date and you, the couple, agree on a particular date, if the church where you go use to do the wedding, if they are not available on that day you've chosen, you might just have to change the wedding date unless you want to use another church, and that's another stress. But I would advise you, before you settle on a particular date, meet with your parents-in-law and the church you're going to be using. The second thing you need to do is to choose a location, but typically in a Nigerian setting, it's usually in the bride's location. So it's usually where the bride's parents stays, unless they say, oh, we don't want to do this wedding where we're staying, we want to take it to our village. You, the guy, you have to follow the girl to the village. That is how to do a Nigerian wedding. So location is dependent on the bride's family, in my opinion. After you've chosen the date, after you've chosen the location, then you need to talk to your church about counseling, because some churches they have counseling. Some of them it must be a compulsory 6-month period. Some churches is a compulsory 3-month period. You don't want to find yourself in a situation where they're like, how can you be planning your wedding in 6 months and you have not informed the church? You need to do to avoid all of that. You need to contact your church first, ask them for the requirements, counseling periods. When we were doing our counseling, we had to be in the same location, like we had to come for counseling together. So if the husband to be was not available, I'm not sure how we would have done it. We could have done it somehow, but still, make life easy for yourself. Ask your church, what is the procedure for getting married here? After you've contacted your church, you need to settle on a budget, which is what I mentioned earlier. If you're the one paying for the wedding, no wahala. You can make a lot of decisions. Choose to use a Rolls Royce for the entrance, choose to buy Louboutin shoes, whatever. You can make any kind of decision you like. But if your parents are the one paying for the wedding, it's a totally different ball game, because you're going to be dealing with let's say both parents from both sides making decisions, and in a Nigerian setting that is not easy. It causes a lot of quarrels, because some parents are like, oh, who's paid for this one, who's paid for this? According to my own tradition, brides pay for this, and then the groom's family is like, no, according to my tradition, grooms don't pay for this, grooms pay for that. So to avoid all that wahala, it will be good if you have your own money. But if you don't have your own money, you better eat humble pie and prepare to take whatever they are giving to you and just make the best of it. But make sure you guys settle on a budget, and you should know who is paying for what. Now that you've settled on a budget, you need to get your location. Some locations in Nigeria you have to book a year ahead because they're really popular, and we don't have so many fabulous locations or venues for weddings. So if you want to get a particular hall, you need to start on time, book it down, especially now that you have the date ready. Now that you've chosen your venue, you need to figure out if you need a wedding planner or not. If you're very busy and you don't have time, you need a wedding planner. But the truth is, Nigerian families have been planning big massive weddings for centuries, so you probably don't need a wedding planner. But if you do, now is the time. Make sure you get one that is effective, that they know what they're doing. If not, you will just be totally frustrated. And make sure you can afford one, because wedding planners don't come cheap these days. If you're not having a wedding planner, then you need to start searching for your vendors yourself. It's so easy these days. So many weddings on the internet, and some of these brides, they've put up their vendor details. Go to Instagram, they'll tag their gele person, they'll tag their makeup person. Start looking for your vendors, pick your vendors one by one. If you start asking for price and you can't afford most of what these vendors are quoting, especially those ones on Instagram, their prices are very high. If you can't afford it, my dear, shift and look for vendors that you can afford. There are so many around you. Don't worry, there are so many, they're just not on Instagram. I think for me, this next part was the stressful part, just trying to choose a wedding theme, a color scheme, and choosing asoebi. It's not compulsory to get asoebi, but what is a Nigerian wedding without asoebi? It is a taboo. So you need to choose asoebi for your girls. Most mothers usually handle asoebi for their friends and family. So there's different types of asoebi. There might be asoebi for parents, friends, best friends. Then there's asoebi for parents, church members. Then there's asoebi for parents, let's say colleagues. Then there's asoebi for everybody, different types of asoebi. So you need to start figuring all of that out. Choose your colors wisely. Don't say because you saw it on the internet you are going to put something like that together and your family will be looking like a ojuju calabar. Choose your colors wisely. I will not advise you at this stage to include your friends in choosing your colors, because people are going to confuse you. When I was trying to choose my colors, I involved some people, and when I'm like, oh, I like pink and this, then the other person is like, oh, but I don't like that color, and I'm like, whose wedding is it? It's my wedding. Whether you like the color or you don't like the color, this is the color me I want to use. Goodbye, thank you. Now that we're already talking about asoebi, the next thing is you need to choose your bridal party. The girls who are going to be your asoebi girls, and they're usually different from the people who are going to be on your bridal train. You need to figure out the kind of bridal train you want. The more, the stressful. If you have 10 girls on your bridal train, you need to know the kind of chaos you're getting yourself into. So the smaller the better, I would advise you. So pick out your asoebi girls, pick out your bridal party, and then in fact include them in the wedding planning. Not all the decisions, but in decisions like, oh, what do you girls want to wear for the wedding, what can you afford. Inform them on time, because planning a wedding in Nigeria is not easy. If you're on the bridal train, do you know how much it costs? You go buy new shoe if you don't get gold color shoe. You go buy fix new hair if they say they want everybody to wear Auntie hair. You go wear your earring where the bride say now you're supposed to wear. So bridal party job is not easy. Inform them on time to know who's available and what they can afford. These days, if you've not taken pre-wedding shots, your wedding planning is not complete, and I think now is the time to take your pre-wedding photos after you've informed everybody, the people involved in planning the wedding. After everybody knows, is the time you need to do your engagement shoot. So decide what theme you want, who your photographer is going to be, and that's a good time to know your photographer. Get familiar with your photographer, and then most people usually quarrel at this stage. You quarrel at every stage, but there's a special quarrel for this stage. Make sure you don't go and take pictures on the day you're quarreling with each other, and make sure the day you are going to take the pictures, you avoid quarreling. Just be sweet to each other, like, oh my darling, because the way you feel is going to reflect in your photos. And don't go over the top with these pre-wedding shoots. it's not that serious. Okay, so now is the time you need to send out invites to your friends and family. You need to put it on Facebook. Oh my god, we're getting married. That's if you're into social media. If you don't want to, it's not compulsory. Just send out your BB message, forwarded message to everybody. You don't even need to print out invites these days. Just forward the message to everybody on your contacts. Oh, you're invited to our wedding, location this. Oh, please pray with us for that day, or pray along with us so that day will be successful. It's very easy these days to invite people, so you don't need to spend a lot of money on invites. Just spend money on inviting parents, friends. Those are the only people that need invites these days. Once you've sent out invites, you need to start praying and fasting for your wedding day, because so many things can happen before that day. You need to start praying for the people that are going to be coming for the wedding. Let them come safely and let them go back safely. You need to start praying for your husband, your wife. You need to start praying for the marriage. You need to start praying for that day. You need to start praying for so many things. Just start praying and fasting, because now that the whole world knows, you need God to protect you from the evil eyes of the world. And this is where I'm going to end today's video. The next one is going to be a little bit more in-depth. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment, and I will respond in a comment or in a video. Speak to you soon. Bye. Mwah.